is the advice everyone needs to carry their papers? Are we at the phase of the Trump government takeover where like you have to carry papers with you? A classic a sign of an authoritarian state, that you need to have you have your documentation with you, because at any time you could be stopped. And if you don't have your papers, if you can't prove you're a citizen or have valid immigration status, you could be held for hours or days. Do you know your parents' number? Do you know your sister's number? Do you know your friend's number to go into your apartment and go find the documentation? Because if you don't, and it's the weekend, you may be here for a while.
Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm John Favreau.
I'm John Lovett.
I'm Tommy Vitor.
On today's show, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court giving ICE the green light to detain U.S. citizens who look like they might be here illegally, Trump's new Department of War, which seems to be itching for one in Venezuela, whether Democrats should fund Trump's government, the release of Trump's birthday doodle to Epstein that he claimed didn't exist, Democratic midterm strategy, and the latest episode of MAGA Fight Club. Then you'll hear Tommy's interview with the Democratic nominee for governor of New Jersey, Mikie Sherrill, who stopped by the studio to talk about one of the biggest races of 2025. But let's start with how the president kicked off the weekend by posting a meme where he appeared to declare war on Chicago. That's where we are. Having already deployed the U.S. military to Los Angeles and D.C., which Trump has declared a crime-free safe zone despite 3 people getting shot over Labor Day weekend, he's been hinting that Chicago is next, and ICE agents have been staging at a naval base outside the city. Then on Saturday, Trump posted a meme titled "Shypocalypse Now" with an AI-generated image of him wearing aviators as attack helicopters descend on a Chicago skyline in flames. It also kind of looks like he's farting fire in the meme. Did you guys notice that? Maybe that was just me.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be Colonel Kilgore from Apocalypse Now. It's sort of him crouching on the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
But the
he's farting
there's
fire.
an unfortunate
I didn't think about
placement
that
of the
until just
flames.
now.
No,
It is
no.
like his face is vaguely Robert Duvall-like.
Yeah.
In the picture, it is a merge
He's-
of the faces.
He's lost the swollen hands and the cankles on that. I don't think it's supposed to be him, you know?
No.
Right.
Those are big cankles. As
so-
Alex Jones told us in great detail. Did you guys watch that segment, Alex Jones?
Yes.
Talking, he said that Trump's cankles were the size of Alex Jones's neck, and Alex Jones like, my neck's like 19 inches. So it's fantastic. Anyway.
Gotta get compression socks.
Yes,
Got to get
big
compression
time.
socks. Anyway, back to the terrifying declaration of war against America's third largest city. So the caption reads, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." Followed by not 1, not 2, but 3 helicopter emojis.
Yes.
The Department of War is, as of Friday,
But like the newscopter version of a helicopter. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
nice.
a Sikorsky. It wasn't
you
like
work with what you got, and
an Apache.
take it up with Tim Cook.
Sorry, you're right.
The Department of War is, as of Friday, Nobel Peace Prize hopeful Donald Trump's new name for the Department of Defense. We're going to get to that in a minute. Trump was asked whether he had in fact declared war on Chicago. Here's what he said.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would
I
you
don't
the
go to
Department of
war.
Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We could solve Chicago very quickly, but we're going to make a decision as to where we go over the next day or two.
No war. Just that's why we call it the Department of War, and that's how Chicago's going to find out, because I posted this meme, but no war.
That's such a condescending way to talk to a reporter. It's just hard to get over it.
I know. White House told Jonathan Lemire at The Atlantic that this entire debate about troop deployments in cities has put Democrats on the defensive, and that Trump wants crime to be a central issue in the midterms. What do you guys think?
I believe it. Yeah, I mean, Harry Anton from CNN did a piece today on Trump's approval rating. The headline takeaway is Trump's been underwater in his approval for 181 days in a row, which is not great. But if you look at his approval on issues, the best issue is crime at -2. And then when you get down to economy and trade, it's a -14 and -17 respectively. So I think they think this is a better narrative, better footing for them politically than the economy, where unemployment is ticking up, inflation is getting worse. U.S. health insurers are raising insurance premiums by the most in 15 years. You guys see that? Nice little report.
75%.
Massive increase. Yeah, up to 18% for people buying on the exchanges in 2026.
Sorry, it will be 75% if we'll talk about this at some point. But if the subsidies go away, which they're expiring.
Yeah, sorry. The cost of company health insurance is about 6.5% increase on average. Government exchanges 18%. Anyway, but yes, I do think like they want to talk about crime. They're calling this Operation Midway Blitz. You guys see that?
I didn't see that, but
They've named it.
Well, the Boston one is Operation Patriot 2, 2.0. I don't know what Patriot
What's
1.0 was.
1.0?
The
I have
team?
no idea. No. Yeah, maybe.
We Drake May out of this.
Patriots.
Continue.
What do you
Why
think?
do you look
Lovett?
terrified?
I didn't know what the. Oh, you're saying the sports team?
Yeah.
We also have Patriots Day in Massachusetts. It's a state holiday, not a federal one.
Yeah. So when you guys celebrate fighting the desegregation of the schools, or is that a different holiday?
Different holiday. This is the one with the founding of the country.
This is
This is the-
birthplace of liberty.
This is the day when Whitey Bulger threw that that cocktail into the Kennedy House. Honor that day, you freaks.
What?
Fucking Massachusetts. Sorry.
Whitey
I don't know. I don't know
What's happening on Long
Whitey
Island?
Bulger.
Anything good?
Founding
Anything
father.
good ever?
No, actually,
What a wonderful place you're from.
Yeah, I know. It's the Boston and New York. I can face that. All right, move on. Keep going.
Charlie Gasparino.
Lovett, what do you think about this?
Oh, what do I think about this? So, Tommy pointed out that it is his best issue. He's only underwater by 2. This is a spin about the fact that they're on defensive politically going into the midterms, and there was this the whole premise of the piece, not from Lemire, but from the Trump people, are in 2018 Trump was too conciliatory. All right, he was too bipartisan, he was too kind, and so now we really need to go on offense.
I saw that.
Which is. You go like, I'm sorry, like I know we all are like goldfish.
The
but,
lesson he took from 2018 was that he reached across the aisle too much.
right? And I was like trying to, I was like allowing myself even for a moment to be gaslit by that. And it's like, well, I remember him calling us mobs, saying we were going to turn America into Venezuela, blaming us for the migrant caravans.
A crazy man sent a pipe bomb to the Obamas and a couple other Democrats. Remember, and he thought that was kind of cool. Caravans, remember the caravans coming in 18?
He did do that event with Van Jones though. So maybe that was the problem. First Step Act.
I remember. Oh, I do remember. I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an important moment. But the point being, like, okay, they want to put Democrats on defense because of this, and Republicans, like CBS just had a new poll that found that Republicans understand that this is what they're meant to do, because they said what's the most important issue, and it's immigration, the border, and crime, right? But that's not true of what other voters are telling people. But then you look even on, like, who is in favor of National Guard deployments to cities? Not most Americans. Most people don't support it. And it's also very geographic, because geography is very partisan. And so what are we talking about here? Who is this popular among? It's popular among people who are consuming information about the cities that they do not live in, and support the policing of by National Guard because of what they're receiving about the cities from Fox News, other television, from the algorithm, whatever. But then if you ask people, do you support having National Guard deployments to your city? Even more people say no. So this is sort of it is a very popular thing amongst Republicans. It is not popular among independents. It's not popular certainly among the Democrats who live in the cities where these deployments would take place. So even on this, I don't see it as an issue where we should certainly act like we're on defense.
It's the same issue we had with immigration after he became president again, which is pollsters were just asking about immigration writ large and getting people's approval or disapproval of him on that issue. And then it turned out after a couple months of mass deportations and ICE rounding up people and throwing them in vans, that if you asked, how's Trump doing on the border, he gets really good ratings, or some of his best ratings on any issue. If you ask, how's he doing on deportations, he's way underwater, right? So it doesn't surprise me that if you ask people, who's better on crime, Donald Trump or those weakling Democrats, people are going to be like, yeah, Trump's better on crime. He's tough on crime. But now that we're breaking out the troop deployments and National Guard in the street, he's going to be a little less popular in that. But it is all it's very war on terror to me.
Yeah.
Which is like, we can do whatever we want, detain whoever we want, arrest whoever we want, provide no evidence, provide no due process. But if you complain, you're just soft on crime like the rest of the Democrats.
Yeah.
That's where we are now. So the latest example of Trump trying to make crime an issue is this video that is all over right-wing media of a horrific stabbing that took place on a light rail train in North Carolina back in August. A young Ukrainian refugee was killed, and it looks like the suspect has a long list of past convictions for crimes like armed robbery. Not sure why this is Democrats' fault, but we got Trump is weighing in on it. He's blaming Roy Cooper, who's now running for Senate in North Carolina. Everyone in right-wing media is saying, why is it the mainstream media covering this? And of course, there they are. But of course, they also didn't cover it back in August 22nd when it happened that much. It was a local news story until, I guess, the video got out and was amplified by Elon Musk and all the rest of them. What do you guys think about this one?
I mean, the video's horrifying, right? It's getting attacked for no reason by a stranger on a train. That's a nightmare. And that, it's especially awful to know this woman escaped the war in Ukraine to come here and have this happen, right? So this guy should go to jail for life. Given his rap sheet, I do think it's appropriate to sort of ask questions about why he was on the streets in the first place. I think Donald Trump is talking about this because this is exactly the kind of video and imagery he wants to use to justify troop deployments or whatever crime policy. And also because Roy Cooper is going to be the Democratic candidate in a really important Senate race. And they're saying that Cooper did something that might have led to this person's release, although it seems completely made up and there's no connection. There's obviously a racial component. This is a black man stabbing a pretty blonde woman, as Trump himself notes. He talks about her appearance in his statement, right? But like in terms of this meta point about coverage, like, actually, generally speaking, like stories like this are the kinds of stories that get the most attention in American media. And the idea that there's some liberal media bias against stories about the grisly murder of a pretty blonde woman is crazy, right? Like we cover these things for months at a time. So this is just Trump exploiting a horrible incident for political gain.
Yeah, well, so it sort of has half of what they're looking for in a story, right? Because it does have a black person attacking a white person, but it's the person who was attacked is an immigrant, or someone who was escaping Ukraine, a refugee, and so
who, by the way, Trump might have had deported because he's considering removing protections from Ukrainian refugees who are here.
Yeah. And so, like, they're kind of trying to make it an issue just about crime or something to that effect. But like the reason stories, it's a terrible story, it's an awful story. But the reason stories gain national attention, or at least that's why they should gain national attention, is because it represents some deeper policy failure. It represents some larger issue that we're all confronting. And now they can make some kind of argument that this is like the represents the kind of whatever the decadent left's inability to tackle crime, or that's what Trump needs to do in our cities, whatever story they can try to tell. But that's the reason this wasn't a national news story. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible crime.
The worst crime that this guy served time for was armed robbery, served a sentence, long time ago was released. The mother tried to get him to be involuntarily admitted to a mental institution because she thought he was a danger. Like, they didn't do that, or they let him out. Whoever did that, that's a big problem, right?
Yeah.
And don't know why, but like, it seems like this person should not have been out on the streets. Hopefully now this person goes to jail for a very, very long time. But like, the Roy Cooper, they are really stretching on this. Like, Roy Cooper signed some executive order that basically was sort of toothless, like reimagined, called for reimagining.
There's a racial profiling task force that sought to reduce systemic racism.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, this guy got out.
There's absolutely no sense
with they were connected.
Nothing to do with it. And there wasn't a politician who pardoned a bunch of people who later committed or were convicted of sexually assaulting a child, violent assault, robbery, aggravated DUI, and reckless homicide. But that was Donald Trump. That was just some of the crimes that the pardoned January 6th rioters went on to commit.
Right.
Now, that is a direct connection from he pardoned them, then they went to commit crimes. This one is someone didn't keep this person getting the mental health help that they needed, or keep them behind bars, or whatever it may have been.
And this is why the meta media coverage is so stupid. Because if a Democrat did what Trump did with these January 6th
Can you imagine?
Criminals, and they reoffended like they did, it would be all they talked about. And instead, we're pretending that somehow this is unfair, and that all the media talked about was Daniel Penny, who was the guy who strangled a person in the New York subway. But that was because that was like a big vigilante justice case that was novel, and it happened in a New York subway, and the media is all there, and they are biased towards covering things in New York. And so like it's just,
by the way,
frustrating.
It would be fair if we worked for a Democratic politician who pardoned someone who had been convicted of assaulting a police officer, and then for no reason they let them out, and then they went and sexually assaulted a child. I'd be like, yeah, bad.
Big problem.
That's bad. That person shouldn't be in office anymore.
Yeah.
Don't care if it's a Democrat.
And everybody universally sees this as a horror, right? And like, and if there were mistakes that allowed this person to be free, that could have prevented this from happening.
Of course.
That needs to be
right.
remedied. That's
Yeah.
not something anybody would disagree with. Stories gain national prominence and coverage for days or weeks because of controversy, disagreement, some question that needs to be answered. This is just a horrible, horrible thing. And because there is an image of a black man looming over a white woman, it has sort of taken off on Elon's internet, and from the rest, it's everywhere else.
We've talked about how Trump's crackdown is less about violent crime and more about helping ICE round up immigrants, most of whom have no record of committing any kind of crimes in this country. ICE also got some help on this from the Supreme Court this morning, which lifted a lower court's restraining order that had stopped ICE agents here in LA from detaining people based solely on factors like their race, their skin color, or what job they're doing, or what language they speak. Justice Kavanaugh basically said, no big deal if ICE finds out someone is a citizen or here legally, quote, they promptly let the individual go. That's what the officers do.
That's what happens.
Yeah. In her dissent, Justice Sotomayor said that's bullshit. One of the U.S. citizens in this case that Justice Kavanaugh and the other justices in the majority heard was thrown against the fence with his arm twisted behind his back, a U.S. citizen. The other U.S. citizen was taken from his job to a warehouse for questioning. What do you guys make of the decision and the implications?
Kavanaugh putting that line in there, the promptly let the individual go, it's just such like trolling. You know, like he knows damn well there's so many examples of American citizens or people with visas or TPS who get swept up into ICE systems and then detained for days, if not weeks. We've heard about it 1,000 times, and he just decided to ignore that fact. I do think in the near term, this is going to make racial profiling worse. You're going to see more ICE raids at Home Depots and, job sites and stuff, and all the things Trump keeps sporadically telling us he will not do anymore because his business buddies call him up and say, hey, you're killing my construction business or whatever. But this case is almost certainly going to go back to the Ninth Circuit and then get ruled on again, and then almost certainly go back to the Supreme Court again. So it's not the end of it.
Yeah, though
it seems like they tipped their hand.
Right, it's a really bad sign that Kavanaugh jumped in to make this argument that the lower court overstepped, not for any procedural grounds, but for the substantive argument that he makes here. And in just practically speaking, the temporary restraining order had restricted the administration's conduct. When there was that truck, the Penske truck that opened up and a bunch of guys jumped out, that was novel and newsworthy because it was a violation of the order. But overall, the number of people that ICE was able to arrest had gone down because of the order. The Kavanaugh language is so bloodless. And you just think about how much empathy this court has had for the rights of a football coach who was fired for praying on the field, or a student who feels that they were unable to gain admission because of affirmative action. And then it is just this, well, you just clean it up. You just clean up the mistake like it's a parking ticket or some sort of misfiled document. And it ignores what happens when people just touch the criminal justice system during an ICE raid. So this woman, Andrea Velez, The Guardian reported on this example, one example. She's a citizen. She was born in Los Angeles. She happened to be downtown when a bunch of guys jumped out of an SUV in gaiters, were grabbing vendors. She gets picked up. She's thrown in an SUV. She gets out and runs to the LAPD because she doesn't know who these people are, and she trusts them because they're in uniform. They pick her up again. They throw her in the back of an SUV. She's described as an alleged citizen. She's then brought to a jail where she's held for days and then charged with assault because one of the officers claimed that at some point she had extended her arm and he had been unable to stop himself from running into it. She's 4'11".
Oh, good.
Okay. 2 days she spent in jail, right, before she's charged. Her lawyers then request the body cam footage. 2 weeks later, they drop the charges, right? And so according to Kavanaugh, this is an example of a job well done or the system working. Meanwhile, she had this incredibly traumatic experience. She's afraid now to go downtown because she's afraid that they could grab her again. Her life has been altered by this. She was held in jail because of this. She almost was charged with assault because of this. Fortunately, they dropped it. But that's just one story of all these people that are going to just be impacted in some way. That remember there was that story, and these stories continue long after they leave the news. There was that kid who stepped in because he saw it's just a guy he knew from work being arrested. He gets accused of assault. They drop that. They lower it to a different charge. Meanwhile, he lost his job at Walmart. Right? They questioned whether or not he was a citizen. It's wrecking people's lives.
I did that video for socials about that woman in Massachusetts. Mother, 3 daughters saw her get ripped away at the airport. She was gone for 2 weeks. Shipped to Maine, shipped to a bunch of different detention centers. She's now not well. She's sobbing every day because we talked about this on the show that they threw out of the van in the rain by the Burlington Mall in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's just happening all the time. And it's it's one thing. I'm like, first I was like, did Kavanaugh, does he just only consume right-wing media? Is he just lying? But then, as Sotomayor said, the two plaintiffs in the case were U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
And then he says later, he goes,
doesn't care.
well, to the extent that excessive force has been used, the Fourth Amendment prohibits such action, and remedies should be available in federal court. He's like, but we're not talking about excessive force right here. And Noah Feldman points out in Bloomberg too that it is rightly seen as this is going to allow racial profiling in Los Angeles and all over the country. But he said also the way that the ruling is written, it means that they can do this to anyone. Anyone. They can make up any kind of category of people that the government, because reasonable suspicion is a very low standard. And so, he was like, and it's weird that we're talking about it because it's immigrants, and so we're like, oh well, if you speak Spanish and if you're your last name, whatever. He goes, but it would be plainly unlawful for the government to stop all young black men in high crime neighborhoods, or for that matter, all Patagonia-clad white guys on Wall Street in a sweep for insider trading. But that is now what the Supreme Court has set out. So anyone walking around, they can stop you and be like, well, we have reasonable suspicion based on blah, 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 and that's it. And then until you prove that you're a citizen, not until they check it, but until you prove it, then you can be held.
And they often won't let people provide proof of citizenship.
Right.
There's an example in one of the, I think it was the AP story today, where the guy gave his ID to these cops or the ICE agents. They held onto it for 20 minutes before letting him go, and then kept his ID.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even before you get to like broader ways in which this could be abused, is the advice everyone needs to carry their papers? Are we at the phase of the Trump government takeover where like you have to carry papers with you, a classic a sign of an authoritarian state, that you need to have you have your documentation with you, because at any time you could be stopped. And if you don't have your papers, if you can't prove you're a citizen or have valid immigration status, you could be held for hours or days. Do you know your parents' number? Do you know your sister's number? Do you know your friend's number to go into your apartment and go find the documentation? Because if you don't, and it's the weekend, you may be here for a while.
Yeah. It's fucking outrageous. One of the more surprising immigration stories over the last few days was the federal raid on a Hyundai battery plant in Georgia, where agents detained 475 people, the majority of whom are workers from South Korea. Trump was asked about this on Sunday. Here's the really detailed, cogent explanation he gave.
If you don't have people in this country right now that know about batteries, maybe we should help them along and let some people come in and train our people. But it's going to be very interesting what comes out. I think we may have learned something, because when they come here and there's nobody that can do what they're supposed to be doing, and they bring people, those people can also teach our people. It's complicated stuff. And something very interesting could come out of that.
He's such a fucking idiot.
So you're saying other people who aren't Americans may have skills that could be useful to Americans and America? And maybe we should bring them here for a bit?
The reason we're not bringing them here is because your administration has a cap on H-1B visas that are used for this kind of specialized work and training. That's what those people, these Koreans, didn't have, which is why they were arrested for misusing a visa and are now being deported.
Which you told the doofuses at the All In podcast that you were 100% for.
It's so infuriating. I mean, yeah.
Tommy, you were saying this morning that this is now like a full-fledged international incident.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Like first of all, just roll back the tape. Like under Biden and then Trump, South Korea was asked to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in the U.S., and they did so. This battery plant in Georgia is part of that, and it's supposed to be exactly what Trump wants. It's a way you buy yourself out of some 40% tariff or whatever. And then these arrests happened, and they don't just arrest these people and like quietly send them home. They shackled them hand to waist to toe and released a hype video of it. And that video just exploded across Korea. And the media and the opposition political parties went insane, understandably, because it's a huge insult to these individuals, to the country, to this U.S.-South Korea alliance that's supposed to be rock solid. And all of these companies and political leaders are wondering, what is the deal we cut with this guy, right? I thought we were supposed to invest and get not a favor, but get treated decently. And so what was it, last month, I think, the Korean president was in the Oval Office talking to Trump. And now it's just viewed as this gigantic betrayal. And I think this kind of thing, it doesn't go away. So this will bear out over time and really harm the U.S.-Korean relationship.
Did you see one of the politicians in South Korea said they should start looking at Americans who were teaching on visas over in South Korea, and maybe, send them back home? It's I get that.
I mean, we have 28,500 troops sitting in South Korea. There's a lot of reasons not to be dickheads.
Yeah, the shackling of these people as if they were like some like sort of danger. They're there working in a battery plant. We sought these deals, these partnerships to have these battery facilities. Some American companies were part of them, in part because it allowed them to hire people outside of their unions. Right, that's how some of these people come in to do these jobs. The other part of this too is when Trump is speaking here, it's just one of those moments where you see him remembering a meeting he was in, where he was explained some complication of this, right? Like that, because he's aware that this is an international incident and he's aware that they want these plants to succeed and that this looks bad, right? So he's like trying to make some reference to how we really need these jobs. Like, we're not trying to shut down these plants. This is important. This is good. We got to get other people. But like, he has no familiarity with the context or H-1B visas, can't retain any of this information. So it's a good example of that.
Yeah, it's like a new industry, right? This new like EV battery industry. It's specialized work. Of course, you need people to come in and train you into how to create the factory that will then employ all these people. But like, his administration is the one making it harder for these companies to do that. And he just doesn't seem to understand anything. No substance.
Or the idea that maybe this is not zero sum. Maybe that bringing in South Koreans to help teach Americans how to make batteries and then giving them the privilege of living here as well can benefit Americans and South Koreans and our whole economy.
And it's always always the workers too who are the ones who get shackled and carted off, right? Like at the meatpacking plants or all these other places. It's like, well, it's amazing how it's a crime being inflicted on the companies.
Right.
So let's talk about the Peace President's new Department of War, which is what the Defense Department used to be called prior to 1949. Trump signed an executive order on Friday to rename the department, which you can't actually do without an act of Congress. So the EO just says it's a, quote, secondary title. This did not stop Pete Hegseth from changing his Twitter handle from @SecDef to @SecWar. He also shot a video of the nameplate being changed on his office door. Defense.gov now takes you to war.gov, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What do we think of the rebrand, guys?
I don't care. I find myself not caring. I see people being like, well, I can't believe he's doing this. I find it all pretty confusing because even as he lectured and talked down to that reporter, he doesn't want to be a war president. He constantly talks about how he's ending wars, but yet war seems tougher than defense. Like, the whole thing is garbled and nonsense. It's really fundamentally not the name of the Department of Defense, which it continues to be. It is a nickname. So he can call it whatever he wants. I have trouble getting spun up about this.
Yeah, I mean, the National Security Act of 1947 and then the amendment in 49 that changed the name, that was not just a rebrand. That was like a fundamental restructuring of the way we do defense and national security. It put the Army and the Navy and the Air Force under the SecDef, and then it created the NSC, the National Security Council, and it created the CIA. So that was a substantial change in our history. This is just, you're right, it's just a nickname. They don't really even change the name to Department of Defense. So I'm with you. Like, I don't give a shit. I do find it just confusing, though. It's like he is going for this peace mantle. He is sending the U.S. military into American cities. Why do this rename now? I guess they just think it sounds cool.
I wonder if he started from the War on Chicago meme and then worked backwards to make that work by saying, now you know what the Department of War is all about. Clearly, they love calling it the Department of War because they want to be bellicose and tough. And the whole thing about peace is just that the way that you get to peace is by being big and strong and tough and kicking the shit out of everyone else and being able to bomb everyone else into submission.
Do they think Vietnam went well for us? Do you think he's seen Apocalypse Now?
Does he know that it's an anti-war movie?
Yeah, no.
Well, they would say, well, that was because of the department name change.
Right.
Things worked better when it was a Department of War.
Right. So the Trump administration did decide to take the Pentagon's new name out for a spin by deploying 8 warships to the Caribbean and then killing 11 people on a speedboat who were suspected of trafficking drugs from Venezuela to Trinidad. The administration didn't bother to provide any kind of legal rationale for the killing, though J.D. Vance did get into a Twitter fight with the Krasenstein brother over the whole thing. The vice president tweeted that, quote, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. To which the Krasenstein brother, not sure which one, responded that killing another country's civilians without due process is called a war crime, to which Vance replied, I don't give a shit what you call it. And then I guess he took the rest of the Saturday off. Here's what Trump said about whether he's planning more military strikes against a country we haven't declared war against.
Are you considering attacking the cartels inside of Venezuela? You attack?
What are you going to find out? You're going to find out.
I'll tell you what, whenever he says, you're going to find out, that's a yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Thoughts on a preemptive war of choice against Venezuela, Tom?
I mean, it is, when you look at like kind of the hardware they're sending down to the Caribbean, it's 8 Navy destroyers. Apparently a nuclear sub is on the way. I read that in, I think, Newsweek or CNN. 10 F-35 fighter jets were just moved to Puerto Rico as part of whatever this new war is. And again, you don't need a sub. You don't need a F-35 stealth fighter jet, 5th generation fighter jet, to take out a boat full of drugs. Like, this would be something you would do with a helicopter or a drone. It's unnerving, and so I find it unnerving. Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, finds it quite unnerving. He thinks it's the threat of an invasion. He's talking about deploying this kind of hybrid militia he's constructed of, I think, 4.5 million people all over to the country in case they are invaded. And other leaders in the Caribbean are all freaked out too. They're kind of like, what's happening here? Trump, remember we were threatening to retake the Panama Canal like 2 weeks ago,
yeah.
right? So this is odd for them. Look, I have felt since the campaign that there was a lot of momentum towards militarizing the war on drugs. Remember, they talked about it all the time on the campaign trail. The polling is surprisingly good for some pieces of this plan. I fear that Trump is going to love looking decisive in the press coverage and releasing these snuff videos of boats blowing up. And before long, we're going to be hitting sites in Mexico or Venezuela or Ecuador, or not just international waters. And, a lot of sources told CNN that the strike was the beginning of an effort that could include regime change. So it's pretty scary stuff. And none of this is going to reduce the demand for drugs in the U.S. It seems unlikely to me that blowing up drug boats is going to do more to stop the flow of drugs than interdicting them would. But I guess we'll see. But right now, we're just doing summary executions of drug runners now.
Also,
that's what we're doing.
What do you think is going to happen with destabilized regimes and people who are desperate? Where are they going to go? Is that going to reduce the push towards our border?
A nice regime change and toppling of the Maduro government in Venezuela. Yeah, that will send a lot of people north.
They've offered no explanation for why they couldn't just interdict the boat. Right? Why couldn't they just interdict the boat?
Men with guns jump on the boat, say, give me all your drugs and you're all coming with me, arrest them. Yeah.
Because we were aware of where the boat was. That's how we killed everyone on board. And look, we just, to your point about the war on terror earlier, we just watch this language come to mean whatever they want. And you just describe the people on this boat as narco-terrorists. I don't know what that term means. I know what it means in the context of, the brutality of living amongst drug cartels in Mexico or South American country. I don't know what it means in this context, because I don't think it's the fucking kingpins on the speedboat running the drugs between countries. And so you're blowing up people that are part of a serious crime that we have a huge problem in trying to address. But these are the people that deserve to die, and they just say well, they're narco terrorists, so yeah, they can die. We can kill them. We can kill them from above. Why not?
They lay this process where we get to designate you a terrorist if you're part of Tren de Aragua. Then we do a secret directive that says the military can kill these terrorists who are part of these gangs. Maduro is connected to the gang. So you just you create this daisy chain of legal justification or authority in air quotes, and then you just start killing people?
Yeah, no, it's as simple as we think this person's bad. They did something horrible that you think is horrible because you think drug trafficking is bad and bad people are bad. And so we killed them. And so if you think that it's bad that we killed them, then you must love drug traffickers, right? Yeah. And we can't believe a word that they say, right? At first, when the New York Times wrote about this, there was we talked about this on the last episode. There was an official who used to work on in the government, in our government, on narco trafficking, and said that doesn't seem right. That's probably a boat full of migrants and maybe not. And then there was actual reporting from the town in Venezuela where it left. And it's no, this is probably a drug boat. But it's they already designated Andre Romero Hernandez as Tren de Aragua and shipped him off to CICOT to be tortured, even though he was clearly not Tren de Aragua. So how are we supposed to believe our government now when they tell us who's a narco-terrorist that they just murdered?
This is the Rodrigo Duterte Philippines model of death penalty for drug dealers, which Trump has long pined after and talked about.
Did you see that? What I think it was Rand Paul posted in response? I thought was kind of heartfelt, and from his libertarian side, that I thought was exactly right.
Yeah.
Like, this is the highest use of our military?
He said,
extrajudicial killings?
JD, I don't give a shit. Vance says killing people he accuses of a crime is the highest and best use of the military. Then he goes, did he ever read To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah.
That part was
Jump to Harper Lee so fast.
But he's right. Like, did you ever wonder what might happen if the accused were immediately executed without trial or representation? Like, yeah, it seems like a problem.
And I forgot what the White House tweeted to Rand, but it was something like, "You pussy." Just like,
I didn't see their response.
like as usual. They went nuclear on Rand Paul.
Well, Rand Paul did recently create an entire media cycle about getting disinvited from a picnic.
That is true.
Just told he couldn't come to the congressional picnic.
It's a
He's
fair
a complicated
point.
guy. Complicated guy.
Good points.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Whatever happened with that leaf thing? Remember when he got in a fight over leaves?
Yeah,
I'm not getting into
never-
that. I
was
don't
We
want to
never
get into
found
that.
out what happened
Yeah,
there.
No, never. No one ever knows.
Too bad. Hey guys, it's Tommy Vitor. You can support the work we do here at Crooked Media by becoming a member of the Pod Save America YouTube channel. When you sign up, you get subscribers-only shows and ad-free episodes of Pod Save America, Pod Save the World, Offline, and Love It or Leave It. Plus, it's the most direct way to support us as we build a counterweight to the right-wing media. So click on the join option on the Pod Save America YouTube channel, and thank you for watching.
Today's presenting sponsor is Simply Safe Home Security. On this podcast, we're all about taking action, not just doom scrolling or yelling at the TV. That's the philosophy behind Simply Safe. Most security systems just sit back and wait for the worst to happen, but Simply Safe's Active Guard technology is proactive, using smart cameras and live agents to actively deter intruders. It's the difference between just having an alarm and having a real guard on duty. Lovett set up Simply Safe, as you all know by now.
So he could doom scroll while they dealt with all the security needs for his home.
Win-win for everyone. Here's how it works. Their smart cameras can identify a potential threat, not just motion, but a person lurking on your property. That immediately alerts Simply Safe's professional monitoring agents in real time. And this is the game changer. The agents can proactively intervene while the intruder is still outside. They can use two-way audio to confront the intruder, letting them know they're being watched on camera and that police are on their way. They're so confident in what they do, there are no long-term contracts or hidden fees. You can cancel anytime. They also have a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it and see the difference for yourself. Visit simplysafe.com/crooked to claim 50% off a new system. That's simplysafe.com/crooked. There's no safe like Simply Safe. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has been helping people find solutions to their problems for over 10 years and have a 4.9 rating out of 1.7 million client session reviews. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the U.S. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and their 10-plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate means they typically get it right the first time. If you aren't happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. BetterHelp is fully online, and you can pause your subscription whenever you need to and switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Therapy's great. You could use it. You might not think you could use it. That's probably most people. But once you give it a whirl, you're like, oh, this is cool. I get to talk to someone about my problems, and they're paid to listen. And if you feel like, I don't want to get out of my house and go meet someone at an office, this is what BetterHelp is for. You can just do it online. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PSA. That's betterhelp.com/PSA. All right, it's been a while since we've talked about Congress, once known as a co-equal branch.
A word that never made sense.
Yeah,
That code did nothing.
They're back in the news. Mm-hmm. They're back in the news only because they must soon fulfill one of their only remaining duties, funding the federal government. Money runs out on October 1st, which means a shutdown is officially looming. The shutdown is looming. We got a loomer. The question is, will Chuck Schumer's Senate Democrats provide enough votes to fund the government like they did back in March, or will they use their leverage to demand concessions from Trump and the Republicans? Stay tuned. Ezra Klein wrote an essay in the New York Times over the weekend where he said this, quote, "I'm not going to tell you I am absolutely sure Democrats should shut the government down. I'm not. At the same time, joining Republicans to fund this government is worse than failing at opposition. It's complicity. Democratic leaders have had 6 months to come up with a plan. If there's a better plan than a shutdown, great. But if the plan is still nothing, then Democrats need new leaders." Thoughts?
If you shut down the government, it's really hard to insider trade. and make money off the stock market.
I thought he had a serious joke face going.
I mean?
That was good. Good delivered.
How are you going to high frequency trade if you shut down the government? No, I read Ezra's piece. I read Ezra's piece. I'm 100% with him on the description of the problem,
Yeah.
the description of the moment, the idea that we can't do business as usual, that we can't legitimize this lawless administration. And then it's like, what's the plan? You know what I mean? Like, we're going to break out of prison. What's the plan? Because, like, what is our demand? What is the end game? What do we want? What's the political plan to work backwards from there? I truly have no idea. And, like, part of what he says, he's like, I think a shutdown would focus the attention of the media on kind of like the merits of what's happening. I don't have a lot of faith in that, having been through some shutdowns. Like, I think they tend to report on it as a fight. I also don't think we have great messengers who would be leading that fight. I'm not like, if we're doing a UFC match on the White House lawn and it's Chuck Schumer versus Trump in terms of, getting the media's attention, I don't think we're winning that one. So, like, I'm with them, but I still think we have some work to do.
Yeah, I get to the end of the argument and I think, man, this is a great argument for having a time machine and going back 6 months and figuring out an argument we'd slowly be making up until this moment for why we should walk away. Like, Chris Murphy's been out there, and this was in the original reporting about him being the kind of lone vote against compromise in the committee. And I went and pulled it because it stuck with me at the time. And he said, every single day, there's new evidence that our democracy is failing. Every time that we go along with these appropriation bills, we're putting a bipartisan veneer on the endorsement of an illegal process that ultimately is part of a campaign to destroy our democracy. That is true.
It's a good point.
It's a true statement.
It's a good point.
We went through this debate.
Sometimes I wonder if that's all you need.
Yeah, it could
Right.
be.
That's the only explanation.
And I find that I get to the end of this and I feel the same uncertainty, and I worry too about the people that are meant to be our leaders through any kind of shutdown. And I think, okay, that makes the right decision uncertain from a strategic standpoint, but the moral argument is simple and clear. And if we don't know the right strategy, we're not positive of what the right thing to do is from a tactical standpoint, shouldn't we rest on what is obviously the truth about the circumstance?
Yeah. So I find myself agreeing with everything you said, Tommy, about the challenges with this. Of course, we don't have better messengers, unfortunately. I don't think there's a good plan to do something that we could declare victory over. I don't know how you get out of it once you get into it. And I do think it's as Ezra puts it, an attentional event. I think you're right that it's attentional for a while,
a week.
And then who knows? Now, when parks are closed and people aren't getting their checks, then maybe the attention comes, and who knows if it's good or bad, and that depends on the messengers, right? Then I'm trying to play out another step after that. So what are the downsides of the shutdown, right? So the Democratic Party has the lowest approval rating since we've all been alive, and so I don't know how much lower we can get.
We'll show you, pal.
I was going to say. It's sort of like what Trump always likes to say: "What do you got to lose?" Yeah. Right?
Macron's at 15%.
Right, and so we briefly contributed to a government shutdown in 2018, which, as he doesn't talk about us, but he talks about the 2018 shutdown over a week over the Dreamers. Remember, we had the Waffle House. We had all this. Those of you who've been with us all this time, you'll know.
Remember it.
It didn't work. It was a failure. Government shut down, and then it was embarrassing. The Democrats did usual thing, which is we'll kind of shut it down, but now we're nervous, so we'll open it back up. And it was a loss for the Democrats, but we kicked ass in the midterms. It was fine. And that was closer to the midterms than this one is, right? So I'm trying to figure out what it's we have not taken a lot of risks as a party in the second Trump term, and we have not done any big moves. And I'm not sure how to get out of this one, and I'm not sure that we could declare victory, but I do wonder if now is the time to start throwing a few more things at the wall to see if they stick. I don't know, I feel the same.
I don't envy. I don't feel like spitting fire at the people that would disagree either. And I will say though, part of the problem is what the Democratic message should be, and in a shutdown, right? What are we going for? What are we fighting for? Where do we think there's any chance of us eking out a claim of victory for the shutdown? Actual practical results? I'm not sure. But part of the problem is that it's not just that we don't think our leaders are going to be up for that fight on the White House lawn. Part of it is that our leadership doesn't have the same kind of constituency that Donald Trump has. And I really have keep coming back to this, which is I think of all the people that don't just like Donald Trump, but love Donald Trump, and that are really kind of just enthusiastic, engaged supporters of Donald Trump and his project. And then I think of Democrats. I think of how few Democrats have any kind of base of support like that. I know AOC does. I know Bernie Sanders does. I know Barack Obama did. I know Mamdani is building that, right? But then I look at the leadership of the party, and I know there are people that support them. I know there are people that are frustrated by any kind of criticism of them. We hear about from them all the time, right? But is there a sizable group of people that love and are ready to fight for Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the leadership of the Democratic Party? No. And that's partially their fault. It's not all their fault. It's a collective failure to build a kind of collective story that gets people excited to be those kinds of messengers, which you need, especially online, in any kind of a shutdown.
Even shy of love them or support them, like have faith in them that they understand the moment. Because remember the last time we all got very mad at Chuck Schumer about this, he did I think it was a New York Times interview with, and I think he sort of was again doing that thing where they talked about how the fever was going to break among Republicans, and you don't know what I say to my colleagues behind the scenes. And you hear that stuff and you just no, man, I don't think that's going to happen. And also to your risk averse point, I mean, I do think you are sending a signal to the Democratic base when Zoran Mamdani wins the Democratic primary in New York for the mayoral race, and you will not endorse him. Why? Because your donors are telling you not to? What's happening here? What possible reason could there be for
holding out hope for Andrew Cuomo?
Right? And it's yeah, man. So you're right. There are reasons that are unfair that people don't have faith in them or aren't excited about them, and there's some reasons that are quite fair that people do not have faith and are not excited by the leadership.
I think most of the reasons are quite fair. And by the way, with that too, it's I don't even know that it's as logical as I'm hearing from my donors. I think it is a fear of some segment of the people that elect him in New York, right? It's a kind of an instinct against anyone who's outside of a core Democratic center left message that they just feel unsure about and are afraid of the consequences of getting behind.
We have talked before about how one of the big problems is that Democrats sometimes act like this is an emergency and Trump's a dictator, consolidating authoritarian power. And then sometimes it's everything's fine today and whatever. Dan just wrote a message box about this, I think, last week, which was the dividing line with Democrats is, do you believe we're in an emergency or not? If they're all in for this, the one thing that's saying we're not going to fund this government because this is what he's doing. And, he's placed an illegal tax on every American with a tariff. He's using our tax dollars to occupy our cities with our own military. He's using our tax dollars to create a secret police force that's rounding people up, right? And you could say that and be we're not funded, basically what Murphy said, we're not doing this, and this is an emergency, and we're going to start acting, and we're going to not start, but we're going to act like it's an emergency, And I could see that. The challenge there is, all 47 Senate Democrats and all however many in the House have to go along with that, and every governor. And you can't have some being Now, I want to know what you guys think about this. One of the suggestions is, and you can see the Democrats, some Democratic strategists, pollsters, senators coalescing around this, is, all right, let's shut it down, but let's make the fight about extending the ACA subsidies, because healthcare is the best issue, the best polling issue. And if we have a fight about, the reason we're shutting the government down is because they're going to, if they get their way, everyone's premiums are going to go up. Now, for sure, great polling issue. I'm sure we're on the right side of that. What do you guys think about that as the reason to shut down the government?
I think on the merits, we're doing a good thing for the American people. On the hackish political view of it, we're bailing him out. We're helping him avoid something bad that would happen that he probably would have gotten blamed for.
Oh, you're saying if we win on that, it's really, that's good.
Yeah, it has the feeling of, we found our best testing message is Americans don't want troops in our streets. Americans want more affordable healthcare, right? And that line polls well. But have we not learned anything from a decade of losing while having the winning argument and the best message and the right policies and the winning polling story over and over and over and over again? Isn't there something missing here? This one is a kind of an edge, more of an edge case, because that's a great thing to fight for. That's a great thing that we should fight for, and it's actually something where we could win. In
fact, if we do the shutdown, I think that should be part of the message, no matter what.
Of course.
Sure. But should it be the only message? I worry about it too.
I do. It just feels inauthentic. It feels fake. It just feels like you looked for something that felt safe, that everybody could get behind.
I said this to someone this morning, but I can see the end of this now. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries declaring victory at a press conference for getting an 18-month extension on ACA subsidies that are smaller than they were before and means tested, while in the background, ICE is just throwing more people into a van.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that's and there's the troops too. The troops
Yeah.
are in the background too, and they're like, "We did it!"
There's a picture, and Trump posts AI of himself having Schumer on a leash, like the Gimp in Pulp Fiction.
But you know what? Then we get the message testing out, and everyone's like, "Boom! Democrats won on this one, guys." Republicans are now 30 points underwater on healthcare. So march off to the midterms.
It's bleak. It's bleak.
I know, and yes, it's popular. I get it, and you are right. It is the actual right thing to do for people to fight for ACA subsidies. But there's a lot of other risks out there, and this government, if we think it's an illegal government and that's authoritarian takeover and all that stuff, then fucking act like it.
We're not going to get credit from the people we need to get credit from on this stuff. Yeah.
I know. It's tough. One thing we could shut the government down over: the Epstein files.
Okay. Good pivot.
Because as we know, this is all a distraction from the Epstein files. On Monday, not long before we got into the studio, the House Oversight Committee Democrats said they'd gotten a hold. See, who said Democrats can't do anything? They got a hold of the famed Epstein birthday book and other files from the Epstein estate. Shortly after that, they posted the image of FBI informant Donald Trump's now famous letter to Epstein with the figure of the naked woman drawn over it. Deputy White House Chief of Staff Taylor Budwich immediately tweeted that the signature shown on the letter isn't Trump's, even though it looks nearly identical to all the other times he signed personal notes with just his first name. Separately, Epstein survivor Lisa Phillips told our What a Day newsletter that the Epstein list that she and her fellow survivors are compiling will include 30 to 50 names of Epstein associates, though she stressed that in a bunch of cases, they don't know whether the people they're naming knew about the abuse going on or whether they were just billionaires who hung around a lot. What do you guys make of the infamous doodle and the chances that Trump can just make the scandal go away by saying that it's just a hoax, it's just fake, that's it?
It's a gross doodle. It looks like an underage, let's not call it a woman, it looks like an underage girl. There's no arms also. There's a debate about whether the signature is intended to be pubic hair or not. That's gross. The fact that we're having this conversation is gross. Also, I don't know if you guys saw this. The Wall Street Journal also now has a photo of someone holding up a poster board sized check for $22,500, which has been mocked up to appear that it was sent from Trump to Epstein. Beneath it, there's a handwritten caption that says, "Jeffrey showing early talents with money plus women sells fully depreciated," name of a person that's been redacted, "to Donald Trump for $22,500. So
Yeah.
there's
So that was a funny joke between
mocked
them.
up check of Trump selling him a woman.
I hadn't
What
seen
more
that
do we
one
need
yet.
to see?
I'm
the
learning that
Journal
from
story.
you now.
Yeah, it is disgusting.
Yeah, the Journal also compared the handwriting, of course, to other letters that he signed, and it's all
Including
the
the Hillary
same.
Clinton. That's
And
the
all
best
the
part.
fucking asshole MAGA influencers and media types and everyone on Fox probably now in the White House, they're all showing signatures of Donald Trump with his full first name and last name, which of course look different than letters that he signs with just his first name and saying, "We got him, we got him."
This is so asinine that the idea that they're gonna claim that the signature doesn't match and therefore it's a forgery. So you're saying that the Wall Street Journal, in cahoots with God knows who, went into this giant scheme to pretend Donald Trump wrote the letter for a decade and a half.
No. They're saying that 20 years ago, someone planted this in the birthday book, thinking that maybe someday Donald Trump would become president, and this would become a problem for him.
And so this extraordinary act of sabotage which has been going on for so long, that no one involved in this scheme had the wherewithal to go look up the way Donald Trump signs his name in personal letters. So they did everything except that last tiny little step. I do appreciate that the Wall Street Journal is really trolling Trump by showing that the way he signed his name personally to Hillary Clinton, Epstein, and George Conway, which I fucking love.
Beautifully done. Chef's kiss. I'll tell you what on the MAGA media front, though, what's happening here is the MAGA influencers for hire, the ones you can buy and sell, the Charlie Kirks, the Benny Johnsons, they are going along with this spin, right? The most extreme MAGA media people are not buying it. The Candace Owenses, the Nick Fuenteses, they are saying, this is bullshit, guys. This is crazy. They think you're stupid. You're idiots. And MAGA is over. Let's move on to the next thing. And that there's going to be second and third order effects to that too, because those like neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic voices are going to be seen as credible or more credible than the kind of even more mainstream MAGA types.
Benny Johnson, back when Mike Johnson, for a brief day, decided to tell everyone that Donald Trump was actually an FBI informant on the whole Epstein affair before he sort of cleaned that up today. Benny Johnson said, "You know what? What Mike Johnson said, it's just proving that the real hero in this whole story is Donald Trump.
He's the undisputed hero in the Epstein
there you go.
saga.
Thank you. Undisputed hero. He's the undisputed hero.
We've all been saying it.
Yeah, he's."
What is it like to say something like that and then turn the computer off and go live a part of your day and maybe lay down at night and stare up at the ceiling? What is that like?
I hope that he at least turns to everyone like in his close circle and laughs and was like, "Did you think they bought that?" Like, I hope that he's at least aware of it.
I think he's living a very inauthentic life in many ways, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that was a good one. So I don't know. I mean, for a while I was like, is the Epstein thing going to go away? But like, we've got after the survivors press conference and after the birthday letter has come back and the oversight committee, Jim Comer has been like sort of going along with some of this. Like, I don't know. I think he's.
I also think sometimes Republicans underestimate how much Democrats care about other Democrats, because I feel like one of the looming threats is that they're going to they're going to bring in Bill Clinton, and I don't think anyone gives a fuck.
Nope.
And they're gonna you're not our precious billionaires. Like, they're gonna go after the people they're gonna go after. Like, great.
If you were involved in fucking Epstein shadiness, fuck you.
If you were abusing children, go to jail.
Who cares?
Go to jail.
And so I guess the threat is that they're gonna be like going after Democrats too in these hearings.
It's because that's how they think about politics and polarization, right? It's our team. We must defend our team.
And by the way, speaking of the Epstein list, one of the things, I don't know if you guys talked about this last week, but Thomas Massie talked about the list that Lisa Phillips and these survivors might generate, and saying that because they might be afraid to release it because they could be sued, that Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, both of whom we always liked,
she spoke at that press conference too.
Could potentially just read the names on the House floor because they're protected.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And Thomas Massie, he doesn't give a fuck.
No.
Well, you got a bunch of MAGA billionaires raising like I think $2 million at this point for super PACs to run against him, and he's like, I don't care, whatever. Yeah, no, I do think there's an open question of how much attention will this get? Because Fox News is never going to touch it, right? The Benny Johnsons of the world, the Charlie Kirks, they've all shown that they're now on Team Trump. They don't care what's said. I think there will be these fringe people that are out there talking about it. There'll also be like the comedian space, like Tim Dillon, right?
Yeah.
Will be hammering this. He's kind of like a Trump-friendly comedy, kind of hard to pin down views guy. I wonder if Rogan will pick this up. Like, hopefully for a few of them, they will be like, the scales have fallen off my eyes. Donald Trump is a liar. He was absolutely 100% a part of whatever Epstein was doing. We know this now.
Can I just do one more thing before we move off this? Everyone on the internet is dunking on J.D. Vance's tweet.
Oh, yeah. Well deserved.
When the Wall Street Journal first broke the story about the letter, the birthday wish, whatever you're fucking calling it, he wrote, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter bullshit. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. Where is this letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump?"
It's so...
He's so fucking smug and
So
condescending, even when he is so wrong all the time.
It's really also the like, would you believe that they didn't show us the letter? Like, it's smug, and also just he does play on, he just has so little respect for the people that support Donald Trump, right? Because no, a journalist doesn't provide you, I'm sure they got a detailed readout of the letter, all the details you could ever need to comment, of course. But he's saying they didn't show us the letter. But then there's the part of it where it's just so fucking stupid. Like, we did a video about this earlier, and it's like, do you not believe that the future will be as real as the past? Like, we're going to move forward through time, JD. And eventually this will come to pass that, of course, the Wall Street Journal, owned by Rupert Murdoch, is not making it up.
He's learned from Trump that you only have to get through the day, but he doesn't have Trump's skill at doing it.
Correct.
He's just not as skilled at fucking he's a doof.
I also look, they are trying to sell him as the MAGA heir apparent and that he will be the next up for the president, right? And there was all this reporting early on, like, is he a uniquely influential vice president? He's going and giving these speeches, trolling all of Europe, and he's doing this. And now we know that Donald Trump does not respect him. They're like, you're going to be my human shield in the press on this Epstein thing. Yeah. I didn't do it. It's a fake fucking letter. Yeah, go say whatever.
Yeah.
Gets gunned down on Twitter all day today. Trump has no respect for him. He will have him lie for him. They didn't give a shit.
You go do your long tweet threads to all of your former friends in the establishment that you used to hang out with.
Give me 800 words to Curtis Yarvin.
see if you can piss them off with your long tweets.
Good luck, JD.
Have fun at Disneyland. All right, let's talk about Democrats in the midterms.
I got to run to the bathroom so badly I'm going to die.
Oh, wow.
1 or 2.
Wow.
Two. He says 1, everybody. John and I are just going to vamp and see how this goes.
Yeah, let's. Whoa! Oh my gosh.
Oh, I wonder if you've been taking creatine.
He whipped the door open to.
A loud laugh down the hall. We got a bedlam here at Crooked Media HQ.
Oh, it's the fucking clock.
Oh, Lovett broke a clock.
Oh, Lovett broke the clock.
I'm assuming we're recording all this and we're going to release it later. So
yeah, no, of course.
Lovett,
this is going in the episode.
Lovett had to shit so bad that he ran from the office like I've never seen him run that fast ever.
4:05 p.m.
Shattered
Time
a clock.
stopped here at
Shattered a
Crooked
clock in the studio.
I suppose we could do the red zone part without him. He's not going to contribute to that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's talk about the mid.
Lovett, how was your dump?
It was just a fantastic number one. Thank you, Tommy.
Great.
I'm not ashamed of. Listen, everybody
Sometimes
poops.
you got to go.
Everybody
got to
did.
go.
What'd I do?
You smashed the clock.
You
How did that happen?
You whipped open the door so hard.
You've been lifting too many weights, man. Lay off the creatine.
Wow.
For 2 reasons.
I can't believe this was painted as a shit. There's no way to not defensively say I didn't take a shit just now.
I hope it wasn't painted as a shit in the bathroom.
Do you remember when we got that all staff email that said FYI they've closed the men rooms because they have to jet clean the whole plumbing system?
Mm-hmm. It's tough. It's tough. All right, let's talk about Democrats in the midterms. Annie Carney at the Times had an interesting roundup of the blue-collar candidates running in some of the most competitive districts and how they're resonating with voters by talking about how much Republicans are screwing over working-class people like them. Right on cue, Michigan Senate candidate Mallory McMorrow got some social media buzz over the weekend with a video that railed about corporate greed, pegged to week 1 of the NFL season.
Football is back, and 7 hours of commercial-free football is not. This is just the latest example of corporate greed ruining the things we love. Because it's not just commercials on TV. It's also your grocery store run, where chicken wings are going to cost you $19.
Do you think ad-supported NFL Red Zone is the new Cracker Barrel rebrand? What do you think?
I like it. I like that. I like that ad. Also, Graham Plattner, Senate candidate from Maine, tweeted about Red Zone. For those who don't know, Red Zone is supposed to be 7 hours of commercial-free football. That is the promise of Red Zone. Now, ESPN, they acquire the property, and they're jamming in what they claim will be a few minutes of commercials, but we should not believe them. But also, it's a station you pay for. Imagine if all of a sudden Game of Thrones had commercials. I'm trying to.
I mean,
you don't.
Connect.
probably coming.
It's
The whole enterprise is failing.
You pay for it and you get ads.
You're paying for a premium, and then all of a sudden you got ads.
Red Zone is like not cheap.
No, it's expensive. It's very expensive. And so I think her talking about Red Zone and making this anti-corporate message with it as the news peg is really, really smart.
I didn't understand that. I was confused about the whole football thing because I saw that, no more 7 hours of football. And I was like, you people have been getting 7 hours commercial free of football? God, what a society they've built for the people that like
Gotta
sports.
pay for the Red Zone.
It's honestly
Gotta
too
pay-
much. It's too frenetic.
Yeah.
I think it was a good ad. I think that there's like, I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't. We're setting a low bar here with the Democratic candidates, and Mallory McMorrow has always been great at just speaking like a normal human.
Mm-hmm.
Our buddy Abdul, who's also running that race, also all his stuff looks just like. It doesn't look as polished as your typical ad that drives you nuts because you've heard it a million times before. He's doing a good job of that. Bunch of other Graham Plattner is doing a good job of that. A lot of candidates running. I think it's been shorthanded as working class, but it's also just like being a normal human being, you know. And I think there's some Democratic candidates who maybe are not the choice of the DSCC or the DCCC, who are maybe out of necessity, maybe out of just the fact that because they're normal human beings who haven't been in politics that long, are figuring this out this time. So I think that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Graham Plattner sounds like the name a s'more would take if it became a person and needed to come up with a name super quick.
Okay.
I like the ad. I do like the ad. I do like. I sometimes think like when we're our bar is so low and then we're so desperate for people just that sound like people, and then they do, and it sounds like a person like talking about something that might bother some people, and like okay, great. But then you think like okay, corporate greed, that's the problem. And then I think, what is the Democrats' view collectively? Like, what's our party's position on how we're going to take on corporate greed? And like, I'm sure there's a bunch of like interesting policy proposals and white papers out there, but like. The other side of it to me is the like, I don't know, like the like fighting the enemy and making more clear who the enemy is and what you're going to and why corporations need to be afraid of us.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say there's not like a clear white paper on sort of like how you deal with the oligarchy, right? But I do think more like what's happening this cycle is you've got this deliberate effort to run candidates who are mechanics or veterans or oyster farmers, and they look and they sound and they are working class people. And I just think like your average voter learns 2 minutes worth of information about someone before they vote for them. And if you look credible and like look like you will fight for them and they believe it from your bio, you're more likely to get their vote than like a lawyer or, a rich guy.
Yeah, we got a lot of lawyers. And, I'm sure there are a lot of good lawyers out there. Yeah. A lot of good lawyers who are going to be good candidates. But we got a lot of lawyers in the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Too many.
Mm-hmm.
Too many. Also, James Tallarico, who I believe you interviewed, Lovett.
That's right.
Up-and-coming Texas state rep, is expected to announce on Tuesday that he's jumping into the Senate primary. So it's him and Colin Allred, who's just here as well. What do you guys think is his theory of the case against a more established guy like Colin Allred?
I have no idea. I'm waiting to find out. I really do. I was like, that's interesting. Got a taste of that national press going up there to Illinois. Wants another hit.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either. I mean, like, I think, he did well on Rogan. It was interesting to hear a Democrat talk about faith in that way. It felt sort of unique, although, we've heard Democrats do that before, just not in a little while. But I don't know. I mean, I think in some recent polling, it looks like maybe he's behind Allred, although it's not clear who did that polling, if it's credible, right? It was like 500 voters in Texas, which is a lot of people in it. So who knows?
I think it's an interesting test case in attentional strategy, which is like Texas is, a huge fucking state to run statewide in. And, Colin Allred has run statewide before. James Tallarico has not. And so I'm sure his name ID is not quite as high. Now, he did Rogan, huge audience. He's gotten national attention. So can he get the attention necessary to run in a state like Texas and get known in a state like Texas against someone like Allred, who has already run once in Texas and who presumably has been running for a little while and has a larger fundraising network? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Right, and then tension towards what end? Like, why are you so like, Allred's running? Why are you so pulled into the race? What needs does he not meet that you do? Like, you know what I mean?
You can imagine him. He'll try to run more of an outsider strategy than Allred, and maybe like take on I'm going to fight more, take on the system more, because Allred is more, and this is true when he was in Congress too, is more of like a work with the other side kind of guy. But we'll see. All right, before we get to Tommy's Mikie Sherrill interview, we do have to talk about the Trump cabinet secretary most likely to beat the ever-living shit out of one of his colleagues. I'm, of course, talking about Scott Bessent.
What a surprise!
Yeah,
but that pink-housed fairy is going to be the one.
Say, are you a homophobe? Is that why? That's what you think? That's why?
Yes.
You're surprised?
Yes. We're a sensitive
He's a big guy.
bunch.
He's a big guy.
Okay.
I would only be surprised because he's like 63 and an economist. But a cursory Google search suggests that Bessent is between 6'2" and 6'3".
Big guy.
And that Pulte is only 5'8", but also inexplicably 37, although he looks... If you told me he was 50, I would have believed.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Like the fact that it was just fucking
37?
Stephen Miller's 38th birthday too was the other day. Like these people look so fucking old.
Fascism ages you.
Yeah.
Also, the New York Post. Did you see they did a story? It was sort of a poll, informal poll of White House staffers to see who they'd want to win in a fight between the two of them.
Oh, we should. We didn't even set up that
Sorry,
it was Bill Pulte. Sorry, I'm just saying people are listening and unless you read Political Playbook and everything Rachel Bade writes. But anyway, so there's a story about Bessent nearly coming to blows with White House chief mortgage fraud investigator Bill Pulte at a dinner last week. Rachel Bade sets up the story in a way that will make you want to scream into a pillow. The Wednesday evening event was supposed to be
We're talking about fisticuffs. Just clarifying.
So yeah.
The Wednesday evening event was supposed to be one of celebration. It was both the much-anticipated inaugural dinner at Executive Branch, the ultra-exclusive Georgetown club created by and for Trump world's uber-rich, and a birthday party for MAGA-friendly podcaster Chamath Palihapitiya.
It's the worst.
It's like the worst couple sentences I've read in a long time.
Your punishment for being a part of this crowd is hanging out with this crowd. I've always
like,
felt that way.
what if that's your Russian doll night? You know what I mean? It fucking sucks.
Key party at Executive Branch. All right. During cocktail hour, Bessent accused Pulte of bad-mouthing him to Trump. He then told Pulte he was going to, quote, punch him in his fucking face. Then, after the club's owner intervened, Bessent told Pulte he wanted to take things outside so he could, quote, fucking beat his ass.
Again, fisticuffs.
Again, fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no.
Uh-huh.
Those kind of fisticuffs. Anyway, incredibly, this isn't the first time that Bessent has gotten in a fight with another administration official. If you guys remember, back in April, Axios' Mark Caputo reported that Bessent and Elon Musk got into a, quote, heated shouting match at the White House. I think we had more details that it got even worse than that, but...
Like hip
Yeah, no,
checks.
there was a shoving.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
think it was Elon shoved Bessent, and then that's when Elon had to leave.
But Bessent now, he made another threat where he said, I'm going to fucking beat your ass or whatever.
Sure.
What do you guys think about this?
Well, so the New York Post asked White House staffers who they'd want to win. Here's a quote from the story that I think was representative. The general consensus in the White House is that Scott would have beat that little midget's ass and everyone would have paid big money to watch it happen. One person close to the president's inner circle told me. So apparently...
Does that person work at Treasury?
They are... sounds like... Honestly, sound like Steve Bannon to me.
Yeah.
But they
Another official said that Bessent actually has a surprisingly big cock. But he's not braggy about it. Just gives him a confidence.
Yeah, he's a grower, not a
Are you
shower.
sure? I think Bannon's a Pulte guy.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know either. It's a good question.
The other thing, too, is this dinner. I was trying to
I'm
think. The dinner took
As you
place
should.
at a table for, I think it said 30, like it was a very
long table.
a very long table. And I was thinking about how to call this the night of the long tables.
Yeah, you've been workshopping that one.
And I never cracked
It's
it.
our 9 a.m. call.
Never cracked it. And you know what? Since our 9 a.m. call.
only had a good 7 hours.
Well, I had to find out about what's going on with that. A lot of news. A lot of real news.
You get a soft lunch on a call with 5 people, and then if it doesn't work there, you just go for the full audience.
Yeah, that's
it.
right. That's right.
Good.
I was going to say, just in defense of Scott Bessent's being a gay guy that wants to fight people, there are 2 paths for the gay boy, and one of them is to become soft and meek and hide in theater, right? But there is the path of the tough gay guy,
Right.
who's like, I'll take on any of you. I'm Scott Bessent, damn it.
Yeah, Bill Pulte.
I think it's also possible. So the piece goes on. They've been fighting these two for quite a while now. It's over. Bill Pulte when he's not investigating the president's enemies for mortgage fraud that his own family has committed as well. He is trying to reorganize Fannie and Freddie, and he's the federal housing guy. And there's some turf battles over this, and also he wants Jerome. He was the one who sent the letter to Trump. Saying that he should fire Jerome Powell, and drafted the letter for him. And Bessent's like, that's fucking crazy. It's going to screw up the markets. Everyone's going to go nuts. And so they've fought about this before. I think that Bessent probably has learned how to really appeal to Trump, how to work Trump. And the best way is to look like you're a fucking tough guy.
Yeah, that's a good
And he
point.
knows I'm gay cabinet secretary. And for Trump, I need to play against type and be as tough as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if Bessent was very happy leaking this whole story.
It's a good point. It does make you wonder if third term he's just slapping the shit out of people in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
You don't get far in Trump world by being sub-dom,
No, that's right. That's right. Fannie or Freddie.
Maybe he's going to be at the UFC fight on the White House lawn that Trump's organizing.
I saw someone...
What's the undercard? He could be the undercard.
Oh, that's a good
He could
point.
beat the shit out of Bill Pulte in the undercard.
Do you guys remember when there were a week or 2 of news cycles about Elon Musk threatening to fight Mark Zuckerberg? Remember when we did
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And they were like, in the Coliseum. And
Simpler
this-
times.
And didn't Zuckerberg say yes?
Yeah, he was really leaning into it because he'd been doing karate training.
Yeah.
Thought it was cool.
No, and it is
He's been
cool.
doing karate training
And
in
it
his
is
bunker,
cool.
He had a
Yeah.
little brown belt, some yellow belt.
Yeah.
making statues of his
Well,
wife on
you-
the lawn.
Well, he does the karate, and then everybody gets a little juice and a little crustless peanut butter and jelly, and then back to coding.
And he dresses up as Benson Boone
Yeah, I
and
was
sings
about
to
to
his
say,
wife.
oh,
Yeah.
that video
Bring me my
killed
stylist.
me.
I need more streetwear.
That guy.
Yeah, that he burns the report on how Meta's sex bots are targeting teens or whatever.
Unbelievable. You know what? I'm really happy we transitioned the Bessent fight into just shit on Mark Zuckerberg for a little while.
It's well deserved.
Maybe Bessent will go beat his ass, you know?
Did you see the clip from last week where Trump's like, Mark, how much are you going to invest in the U.S.? And Zuckerberg's like,
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
billion. Then he's
What do you want me to say?
No, sorry. He said the 600, and then he said, "Was that the? I don't know what number you wanted me
sure
to
was
say."
that the right number? Sure was that the right number? It's like hot
It's
mic.
so.
The worst.
This is it. This is our empire.
That's who's
Fine,
dining at the executive club with Chamath.
Chamath. Happy birthday, Chamath.
Yeah.
Want to make sure he had a great birthday.
What was the tweet about his penis?
hope-
Chamath, remember that one?
It was.
You judge a lot about it. You judge
It
a
was
person by their
Bessent-like. Yeah.
You judge a person by their friends.
Amen.
That's what I say.
Amen. All right. When we come back, you'll hear Tommy's conversation with Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill about her campaign for governor. Again, I'm sure right now she's thinking, great choice.
Another seamless transition by
Being on this
show.
podcast.
Did you ask her about the pizza like I asked you?
I didn't know how to pivot to that because I'd never eaten it.
All right.
I did ask her about filling up her own gas tank in New Jersey and why we can't do that.
You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt in New Jersey.
It's true.
One quick thing before we get to that interview. You guys have all heard us talking about how excited we are for CrookedCon in November. CrookedCon.com. I can say it now. It's going to be a day to join some of the smartest organizers and least annoying politicians in America to strategize, debate, and commiserate about where we go from here. They'll also be drinking. We'll be kicking off the event on Thursday, November 6th with a live Pod Save America show at the Warner Theater. Then on Friday, November 7th, we'll be hosting a full day of conversations, panels, workshops, and live pods at the Wharf with all of our favorite National Guard members.
Have you guys thought about that at all?
I only thought about it when a couple of our when I did an AMA on the Discord, and a couple of people were like, how are you guys feeling about the security there and doing it in DC? And I was like, I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah,
Gonna be fine.
Marketing's going to make us cut this, but the Wharf turns into the largest ICE detention facility on the East Coast.
CrookedCon, once you enter, you cannot exit.
Leave it in, Jordan.
Anyway, the announcement that I'm supposed to be reading is that we're really excited to share the lineup of folks joining us.
Who will we be locked up with?
But yeah, this is who you get.
Endless Q's and
This is
A's.
who you're going to CCOT with. Ready? Hassan Piker, no surprise
Nice.
there. Faz Shakur, Sarah Longwell, Brian Tyler Cohen, Jessica Tarloff, Senator Ruben Gallego, Governor Andy Bashir, Representative Sarah McBride, Representative Janelle Bynum, Ben Wickler, and lots more. It's exciting.
Great group.
More
Great
names
crew.
to
Very
come.
fun.
More names to come, guys.
Very exciting.
We'll be there too, of course, along with Dan and Ben Rhodes and Aaron and Alyssa from Hysteria, and we'll close out the day with Strict Scrutiny Live. And by popular demand, we just added more tickets because you guys just kept buying the tickets so fast. Now we're adding more tickets, especially with that lineup. And who knows whoever's coming next, you know?
Shout out to our marketing team that puts Hassan Piker first on virtually every.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
And I'm, great. It's like the senators and governors, but Hassan Piker's coming.
The 2028 hopefuls, they go at the end of the list.
Yeah, that's right.
We got Hassan Piker first. Anyway, see the full lineup and buy your tickets before they sell out at
CrookedCon.
You fucked up. Tommy, you want to try?
Jesus.
All right,
What-
you're out.
Just one strike policy.
Jesus,
You're out.
Yeah,
CrookedCon.com.
There
That's
you go.
right.
CrookedCon.com.
That's like
I've been practicing. I spent the 5
It is
minutes
hard to
before
say.
Yeah, it is very hard. Very hard. Pod Save America is brought to you by Armra. Why are elite athletes, business moguls, and high performers using Armra colostrum? Armra colostrum is nature's first whole food with over 400 bioactive nutrients working at the cellular level to build lean muscle, accelerate recovery, and fuel performance, all without artificial stimulants or synthetic junk. Whether you're running a business, training hard, or just want an edge, Armra optimizes your body for peak output. Probiotics and other supplements are touted as a gut health solution, but most products on the market are dead before they even reach your gut. Armra colostrum naturally fortifies your entire gut wall system and optimizes your whole body microbiome, which helps guard against irritants that can trigger digestive issues and compromise your immune system. Research has shown that colostrum also helps to enhance nutrient absorption. Let Armra colostrum help you reach your goals by promoting lean muscle building and fueling better performance and faster recovery. Colostrum bioactives have also been shown to reactivate hair follicle stem cells and activate collagen production, promoting hair growth and enhancing skin radiance. We've worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 30% off your first subscription order. Go to armra.com/crooked or enter crooked to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's ARMRA.com/crooked. Cricket. Pod Save America is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Oh, hiring. Boy, it's tough. A lot of resumes.
Takes time.
Takes time. You're going through all the resumes. You're like, I don't have time to just look at all these resumes. It'd be great if there was someone who could do it for us.
I want to find the diamond in that rough.
That's right.
For you.
You know who can help you do that? ZipRecruiter. The future of hiring looks much brighter because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features help speed up finding the right people for your roles so you save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/crooked. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in. You can unlock their contact info instantly. Over 320,000 new resumes are added to ZipRecruiter monthly, which means you can reach more potential hires and fill roles sooner. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/crooked right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/crooked. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire.
Joining me today in studio is New Jersey gubernatorial candidate Mikie Sherrill. Congressman, great to see you. Welcome to the pod.
Yeah, well, this is fantastic. I'm a longtime listener,
Uh-oh.
first person on the pod.
No. The listeners can hold me accountable for all the wrong takes, all the bad language, all the things we get wrong here.
I'm from New Jersey. I'm going to hold you so accountable for bad language.
You're good with that. Well, we did just spend 10 minutes talking about potty training, so, our headspace is right. I have a 2-year-old who's doing potty training right now. So a lot of folks are watching the New Jersey gubernatorial race because it's important, but it's also a bellwether. On the one hand, the party out of power tends to do well in off-year or midterm elections. On the other hand, New Jersey Democrats have held the governor's seat for 2 terms, and Trump gained a lot of ground in 2024. Why do you think Trump's margins improved so much from 2020 to 2024? What does that say about the Democratic Party and what we were getting wrong? And how are you guys feeling about the state of your race?
So I think we just see election after election after election being a change election. And I would say that's because voters want to be heard and they're not feeling heard in any way. And so I think the 10-point swing to the right in New Jersey is largely because as people in New Jersey were saying, I can't afford anything. My costs are bad. Inflation is bad. Home prices are bad. Groceries are expensive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The response from Democrats in many cases was largely the economy's good. We had a soft landing.
Right.
And everybody's going, I don't know what the
Also,
flip of soft landing is, but,
yeah.
right? And so, and it's hard. Look, I have served this country almost my entire life. Like you, I got into public service young. I was 18 when I went to the Naval Academy and then served for almost 10 years. So I care deeply about democracy. It's central to so much of what I do. But if I'm coming at you with democracy and you're coming at me with, I'm about to lose my house and I'm not sure how I'm feeding my kids, that's not going to go well.
No.
Right? And we shame on us,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I was a little disconnected from the reality. Over the weekend, President Trump posted this image on social media. I'm sure you saw it. It was him as Colonel Kilgore from Apocalypse Now. There's helicopters flying over Chicago. There's text that says, Chicago about to find out why it's called Department of War. And I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Obviously, he posted this to get a reaction from Democrats, outraged liberals on social media, et cetera. But at the same time, I think threatening to wage war on an American city with the U.S. military is a big deal. What was your reaction to Apocalypse Don in his post over the weekend? And how do you think Democrats should handle these threats to deploy the National Guard to U.S. cities in the name of fighting crime?
Well, my first thought was that guy never served. And so good old Corporal Bone Spurs should probably not be, acting as if he's a tough guy when he had, I don't know how many deferments. And I also agree with you, as countries across the world are holding major meetings and symposiums without the United States and looking to work around the United States, and we're losing power daily. And so instead of making sure that we have a full-throated response to how we move forward on so many of the key issues, whether it's AI or energy prices or trade. Instead, he's looking to wage war on one of his own cities. That's really beyond the pale. But it's kind of par for the course on how destructive this administration is. And I think you're right. A lot of it is very dire, but a lot of it's also performative to sort of be saying, like, look over here, I'm going to put these troops on the streets. Don't pay attention to the fact that my tariff program is driving up costs everywhere, and that this bill I forced Congress to pass, and look, I'm not crying a river for Republicans in Congress who lacked courage, but force this bill through that is going to raise costs on everyone. Don't pay any attention to that. So as I'm running, and it's really, as you sort of laid out, a kind of extraordinary race in New Jersey right now. This is the only race that's really been going on super competitively for almost a year now. Yeah. We had a really competitive primary, and now we're into the competitive general. And I'll tell you what I think is, what I can tell you from listening to thousands and thousands of people across New Jersey is people are really upset about the cost of living. And they are upset now with Trump because he promised to drive costs down. We've already talked about why they're upset with Democrats. And so it's oddly the least partisan race I've run. I started running in 2018. So I usually go to diners, and especially if I'm in a red area of the state, I'll go, I'm Mikie Sherrill. I'm running for, previously Congress, now governor. And people say, I support Trump, or I'm a Republican, kind of get away. Now they look at me and they say, how are you going to lower my cost? And I think it's because at this time, they're looking for leadership on the issues that are key to them. And I think this presents a real opportunity for Democrats right now.
So what you're saying is all you're hearing, despite all these kind of national stories and trends, are just cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. I mean, it's similar to the Mamdani race in New York, where the media narrative was kind of like acted as if he was, trying to get elected prime minister of Israel, but it was really like he was focusing on housing costs, free bus, et cetera. You're sort of hearing the same sort of things?
It's both. It's, there's been a lot of people saying, this bill that he passed that's going to raise healthcare costs and energy costs and higher education costs, et cetera. Are people really aware that that's coming? Mm-hmm. And A, yes, but B, it almost doesn't matter because these tariffs are hitting people hard. And so to give you a sense of that, because maybe some people, you hear from economists, this is about to happen. And you kind of think, well, it's happened months ago. What's going on? Right. So what I always find interesting is if the economists are saying something and then people on the ground are saying the same thing, if you have that connection. And so economists are saying, this is about to hit in the holiday season. And now I'm going, I was talking to a coffee store owner, this guy Chuck, who was telling me, look, I used to buy this huge burlap sack of coffee beans for $2.50. Now, because, and this is sort of how he put it, because Trump got in some fight with that guy in Brazil, now I have to pay $6.50 to $7. I didn't change my prices because reprinting menus was expensive, reprinting the signs was expensive, but I think it's here to stay. So I just emailed all my customers and costs are going to go up.
So you're just going to have to eat it. Yeah, and the fight with the guy in Brazil is over the Brazilian government wanting to prosecute someone who did his own January 6th and tried to stage a coup that included killing senior political leaders and a judge. So that's why we're tariffing Brazil.
And just to add insult to injury, the only place we go grow coffee beans is Hawaii, and that's not nearly enough for the market. So it's not as if there's some industry here that we're somehow protecting.
No.
It's
nonsense.
It's horrible that he's punishing the nation for that, and it's horrible that he's just raising costs on everyone at a time when they're already feeling the stress of it.
Yeah, including healthcare premiums are about to go up. The other thing we're seeing, though, is in addition to like these National Guard deployments and threats, we're seeing major ICE and CBP deployments to especially cities and states run by Democrats. I know that the Department of Defense gave immigration agencies the approval to use a New Jersey military base to detain between, I think, 1,000 to 3,000 migrants. I think it would make it the largest immigrant detention hub on the East Coast. And then Newark Mayor Ross Baraka was arrested outside an immigration detention facility back in May, I believe. What was your reaction to this growing ICE presence in your state and DOD signing off on the use of military assets for immigration detention operations like that?
So as I mentioned, I'm a Navy veteran. I now sit on the House Armed Services Committee, and I can tell you I've been incredibly opposed to this for so many reasons, not the least of which is it's moving resources away from our troops to support a mission that we should not have on our bases, and the military should not be involved in this. And I even, I heard from one military member who said, I'm about to deploy. And I said to him, oh, I'm sorry, because I know he has some young kids. He goes, I'm kind of relieved because I don't want to run concentration camps here at home.
Oof.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing this push to really undermine a lot of the rules here. And it's really chilling to me because, as I mentioned with my background, I watched in Trump's first administration as he tried to again and again and again co-opt a private militia for himself. And he tried initially during the Black Lives Matter protest to utilize the U.S. military. Remember, and he was always calling generals my generals, as if they were, solely serving him, not the Constitution, and constantly trying to undermine the military. And I thought it was odd at the time because the worst time for his numbers was when he was attacking John McCain. I thought that was an odd thing to do. But in hindsight, I think he was again and again trying to undermine the prestige of the military because it was the one organization that people trusted and that stood against him. And so if you recall, the troops got all the way to Fort Belvoir, but they stayed out under pressure from General Milley, and I think Mark Esper was SecDef at the time, and really pushing back. And so then he had troops all over the mall guarding the monuments. And we didn't know, they were in camis, but they had no insignia. They had masks on. It was during COVID. And they wouldn't say where they came from. They wouldn't answer any questions. And we think maybe DOC, Department of Corrections, but it was a little bit unclear. So again and again, trying to co-opt these militias. And then finally, January 6th, his private militia. So he still had to leave office, I would say unwillingly. And then came back into office, and one of the very first things he does is start to fire admirals and generals. He fired C.Q. Brown, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He fired Lisa Franchetti, who is the chief of naval operations. When I said to Pete Hegseth, I think he did it because he was black and she was a woman. He didn't deny it. I think it's pretty clear.
Very specifically.
Very
right?
specifically.
C.Q. Brown filmed one video about being a black man in America after Black Lives Matter, and I think that led him to being fired.
He fired the head of Special Ops, and part of the understanding was that that's because he suggested that women, if they could compete, should be able to be Navy SEALs. We've had multiple three-star admirals fired who are women, and then others across the board who express anything. I've heard from DHS officials that there is a loyalty test. I've heard some people quitting because they aren't taking, they aren't going to do a loyalty to Trump instead of the Constitution. So again and again, you see him trying to both weaken the U.S. military and then strengthen ICE. And now we're putting more money into immigration enforcement than we are into the United States Marine Corps. And you're seeing the commercials. A lot of people around my way out in New Jersey see them on the football games. There's a lot of ICE recruiting commercials. And they're very aggressive. And so you're seeing him really try to have this. And I think it's really dangerous, which is why governors need to really stand in the breach and demand accountability and understand who these people are on the streets. And that's why in Congress, I'm on legislation to make sure that you have to identify yourself, that you can't go around masked with no insignia, unmarked cars. And then on the streets, I think the courts are where some of the battle is, but you also have to be very careful with your own state police force. So I was talking to someone who said he was a former police officer. He said he was just chatting with one of his friends who's currently a police officer who spoke to an ICE agent. The guy came up to him and demanded something. He goes, show me a badge. I don't know who you are. And he goes, I don't have to show you who I'm with ICE. And he said, yeah, you do. And he goes, well, I'm taking you to jail. And the guy goes, well, I'm taking you to jail and we'll sort it out there. But I mean, this is the kind of lawlessness that's going on. And it really, and a lot of our police officers are coming forward saying, this is making our streets less safe.
Yeah.
And this is not our mission.
That's tough in Jersey. You have to watch a Jets game and see an ICE ad. That's like a double whammy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a Patriots.
All right, I'm over. This interview is over.
My team sucks. Another issue I saw in New Jersey is last week I saw there's another measles case popped up in New Jersey. I think it brings the state's total to 10 this year. This is happening as the HHS Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's gutting the CDC. Florida, I think, is doing away with all vaccine mandates. I don't know if you saw this interview the Florida health administrator, whatever his name was, did with Jake Tapper over the weekend on CNN. But it was very clearly they had done absolutely no research or modeling about the impact of these changes before they put them in place. How worried are you about a potential measles outbreak in New Jersey? And as governor, how would you manage this erosion of trust we've seen in public health since COVID, basically?
I'm incredibly concerned, not the least of which because I have 4 kids and I'm a mom.
Yeah.
But also because New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the nation, because we're about to go into the winter months where all of the diseases become much more transmitted because of being indoors. And so it is a really dangerous scenario, especially for our state, really unique in the country, our state, with winter and a dense population, a very international population. We have the airport, we have 95 going through. I mean, we have train stations, we have everyone in and out. And so without vaccines, our state could become very dangerous, especially for kids and for seniors. And so when you look back at the numbers of kids who died of what are now preventable diseases before vaccination, you look at 2-3 million kids. When you look at the babies who've already died from whooping cough, which totally, if you have herd immunity, preventable, like babies can't get the vaccine, which is why we make sure others have it to protect them. So across the country, we are seeing this threat coming back. I mean, I'm almost just waiting to hear about cases here of polio and stuff because of this movement going on and this surge in listening to RFK Jr., who seems to get a lot of his information. And I wish this was just a snarky comment, but I think this is true on TikTok and with influencers online. I was talking to one doctor who said he was saying all this weird mitochondria stuff, and she's like, "What the heck is this?" I don't even think he knows what mitochondria is.
Diagnose people by looking at them?
They were showing some mitochondria damage on their faces, and
of
she
course,
goes, we've
all spotted that in the
right.
wild,
We've all noticed. We've noticed.
Do that a lot,
So I just to think that that's the person then who's not just the head of HHS, but actually making these huge decisions that could impact the nation, which is why governors, again, are so important because actually there are coalitions now. And in the Northeast, we have some of the best research and development into health and medicine. And so working in the Northeast, New Jersey's been called the medicine chest of the world. So really working as governor to make sure that we're still putting out credible information, that we're still getting vaccines to people, still manufacturing those vaccines is something that I'm going to work with other governors in the Northeast like Maura Healey, who's doing just that right now to make sure that citizens in New Jersey are safe. As you see, I mean, just real nitwits across the country making decisions based off of zero information or at best something they saw online.
Yeah, the Instagram comments. Yeah, I don't know if, look, I have a 1-year-old and 2-year-old. When I see reports of like a measles outbreak, I start to think to myself, do I have to move up my own kid's vaccine schedule, right? Like these are the conversations we're having in our own houses. It's terrifying.
Well, and there's breakthrough cases. So
yeah.
you want to get to 95+% vaccines, I think, for herd immunity, if I remember correctly. I am not a doctor, so I don't, I use medical experts.
Yeah, I asked
to
for
discuss
advice.
these things with, but I think it's north of 95% for herd immunity so that you don't, so that you can keep people safe because even with vaccines, you have some breakthrough cases and stuff like that, putting everyone in danger, which is why we traditionally have demanded if you're going into schools with little kids, you have vaccines so everyone doesn't get sick and die. And I don't think that's too much for the community to demand, that your kid's safe going to school.
Did you watch his hearing in the Senate last week?
I did not.
In addition to just the horrible words coming out of his mouth, he was wheezing in this very unhealthy seeming way. And he had a very like Jersey Shore vibe, like Snooki JWoww, like the super intense spray tan and juice head. Take a look. There's some good clips on Twitter. You'll enjoy it. Another Jersey question. Alina Habba, Trump's former personal attorney, she was briefly appointed to the acting U.S. attorney in New Jersey before a judge ruled her appointment unlawful. You were a federal prosecutor. What did you make of that mess, and what impact it could have on the integrity of federal prosecutions in your state?
That's my old office. And I have to tell you, I worked there for several years. I knew a lot of the different lawyers, and the head of the public corruption office, who I'd worked with quite a few years. We'd eat lunch together occasionally, or I'd see him out. The minute I started running for office, would not even talk to me.
Just out of fear that
no, because he prosecuted public officials.
Oh, got it.
And so he was like, look, I don't want impropriety, and I don't want the appearance of impropriety. I don't want anyone to think that I have some relationship with you and that is impairing my judgment. I mean, that is what a high ethical standard he held.
Right.
Like, I would walk into a room at some U.S. attorney gathering, and he would walk out of the room, or he would see me and start, marching the other way. But that's kind of the level of integrity that many people in that office demanded of themselves, and certainly others. And so to think now that not only is that certainly not happening, but she says that she is going to use the office to turn New Jersey red, I think was the comment, that she is actually blatantly political. She has now said she's going to prosecute the governor, the attorney general of New Jersey. She's prosecuting a sitting member of Congress who was doing her oversight duty. She actually had the mayor arrested and said she was going to charge him until the tapes came out, which she had, and showed that he was innocent. And so she couldn't. So then she went after the congresswoman. And at every turn, she's making these threats. And it's a very Trumpian move. He was in Atlantic City going bankrupt all the time and leaving everyone holding the bag and threatening court cases and stuff, because it's very expensive to go to court and hire lawyers. So it's not as if, oh, you're just innocent, so you go to court and you're like, I'm innocent, so leave me alone. And you're like, okay. No, it's tons of money to hire lawyers and to do this. And then you're living under this, especially in these times when you don't think things are fair. So several defendants have brought cases saying, look, you can't even prosecute me because she's not even there legally. So that's going through the court system. But it is again, I think, this total co-opting of power at every level as quickly as possible that Trump's trying to do, and taking all these levers of power to quell dissent, to punish anyone who speaks out against this, and find any means you can to shut down any ability to create a different path forward.
Yeah. I'm kind of waiting on Bob Menendez to go full Rod Blagojevich and kind of go for that pardon. You think should we?
I think he's already made suggestions. Like you said,
There's
stuff like Trump is right and stuff. So yes, yeah.
No gold bars in your closet, house, anywhere?
Oh God, no.
No, okay.
We can't even keep water. After Superstorm Sandy, we had these things of water, and my kids just drink them all. So gold bars would be really beyond us.
Speaking of corruption, do you agree with President Trump that we should reopen the Bridgegate investigation into Chris Christie? He tweeted this the other day.
No, we've already had that investigation. I mean, I deeply believe in investigations into wrongdoing, but to use investigations to go after people that you don't like or that have said things you don't like is really, really troubling to me.
Yeah.
And to use the criminal justice system like that, I think is, again, a way that you quell dissent. And in these times, it's really dangerous.
Yeah, basically, I think he was mad about an ABC News interview Christie did in this case.
Was that, which one?
Trump was mad. He was tweeting about John Carl's bad haircut and something Chris Christie said. And then he said, let's reopen the investigation. That's how we got
So it wasn't
here.
Was it the CDC stuff or something different?
No, I don't even know what it was anymore. It was a while.
Okay.
It's just Trump watching TV and tweeting, like we do at NFL games. He just sort of flails away.
Yeah.
So you were a helicopter pilot, right, in the U.S. Navy?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the H-3 Sea King? Is
yes.
that right? I thank
yes,
you, Wikipedia.
It was. Yes,
okay.
it was.
Some helicopter questions. Is it harder to learn to fly a helicopter than to fly a plane? First question.
Depends on the weather conditions.
Oh.
Helicopters are, I think, much more susceptible to high winds and changes in humidity and it changes the power dynamics of it.
What's
a
the
bit
like
more.
timeline for like learning the process for getting approved to fly on your own?
Well, now you're testing my memory. So everybody in the Navy, not in the Army, but everyone in the Navy learns to fly fixed wing. And so you go through pre-flight school and then you go through flight school, primary. I think that takes about 6 months. And then you go through helicopter school, which is maybe another 4 to 6 months. And then you go off into the replacement air group, the RAG, and your squadron. And you do that's a lot shorter. And then you kind of go right into your squadron. And my RAG was kind of co-located with the squadron.
So it's like a couple year process.
Yeah. You could probably speed it up if you were churning people out a lot more quickly. But at the time I did it, it was probably about 1.5, 2 years.
Okay. That's less than I would have thought. So if I were sitting in a Sea King at the Sticks, right? There's a meteor coming at Los Angeles. Could you talk me through how to get that thing off the ground, or am I dead?
Oh, if it was running, I could get it off the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
You just like press this button, do that.
Well, there's a checklist. So
Okay.
we'd have to get all the
it
circuit
going.
breakers in the right place and stuff like that. But flying it itself, like lifting up and flying it, yeah.
It looks really hard. I've seen my primary experience.
If you were doing it, I would be riding the controls to protect my own safety here.
Smart.
But yes, but I could.
Because we used to watch the Navy men and women like take off and land on the South Lawn.
Uh-huh.
And that was just some high stakes shit, I guess, because you're like coming in on the South Lawn and then you're turning and you're doing it in front of the President of the United States and all these assembled people. And it was very cool.
Yeah,
very impressive
and that
group
was
of
the
people.
helicopter I flew.
Oh, really?
So Marine One is the H3.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the model, and they were always stealing our parts. So
Why?
that was because
Stuff would break. And...
It was because it was an older helicopter, so there weren't as many parts through the supply chain, and so they had the top priority, as you can imagine. So we were constantly, getting parts grabbed from the supply chain.
Is that thing a jet engine? It's so loud. Because
Yeah.
Donald Trump likes to do his press avails in front of the helicopter while it's on. I'm sure you've noticed this. And it's like insanely loud.
It's insanely loud. So it's but it's a great helicopter. And one of my favorite things about it is it has a boat hull. So when you're in the military, you have to, if you're flying over water, which if you're in the Navy, you're flying over water.
Right.
So you have to go through the helicopter dunker, which is this like total torture hazing situation where you strap yourself into this thing, get blindfolded by the fourth round, get dropped into a tank of water, flipped upside down, and then you have to swim out. Yes. And I mean, I've been a swimmer my entire life, but it is just, I hated it. I
bet.
So then after that traumatic experience, I never wanted to go down over water in a helicopter,
No,
as you can
for
imagine.
a lot
No
of
one
reasons,
does.
yeah.
But at least I always took comfort in the fact that my helicopter had a boat hole, so you could actually land on the water.
Oh, would it float?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought so. I
There's
was
something
real
new here.
pleased.
It's good to know. Last question for you. If you're elected governor, will I be able to pump my own gas in the state of New Jersey, or is that just going to still be a thing you guys do?
That is really, that is a fight right now going on. But that is something that is beloved by New Jerseyans.
Why?
So, well, because if you have like 4 kids and they're all having a huge fight
True.
and you just need gas really quickly and you don't want to get out of the car because you don't know what's going to happen, you just like to pull up and be like, gas, and you can just be in the piece of your car, with the doors and windows closed, yelling at your kids.
What if you desperately need to escape your kids for just 30 seconds?
Then you might want to pump your own gas.
Okay.
Yeah, you might want to cross the line.
Just drive to
right?
Pennsylvania or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Okay. Congressman Mikie Sherrill, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it, and good luck in your race. And how can people help you out if they want to get involved?
Thank you for asking. I was told by my team I could not come home.
I could hear them sighing behind me as
please go to www.mikiesherrill.com/volunteer. We can use all the support we can get. This is a huge race, and it is one of only 2 statewide races going on in the nation right now, New Jersey and Virginia. I think this will set the table for all of next year's races as I think we really develop the engagement that we need to see on the ground. Right now it's been hard. People are feeling exhausted. If we build events, they'll come, but we have to build them, and that takes a lot of money and people on the ground and effort. So please donate, please come, knock on doors, or get involved on the phones and the texting. So thanks so much.
It's a big race, very, very important, not just for the people of New Jersey, but also to send a message that we're still in this. Democrats, we're fighting, we're trying, and we can win in the midterms as well. So please get involved if you can.
I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you for being here.
That's our show for today. Dan and I will be back with a new show on Friday. Talk to everybody then.
Crooked condom.
Condom.
It's a very different thing.